So now we're going to move to the 10 strategies. So we know what the opportunities are. How do we actually take advantage of them? From the high view, there's 10 strategies, and there's 5 of them that you should care about and 5 of them that I don't think we really generally mess with. So the first one is buy and build. This is what I showed you the example of, where you have a platform company that you either own now, which could be the business that you own now, or maybe you buy one, and that becomes the platform, and then you're looking for other businesses to tuck in that are related to it. So for us, as a platform acquisition with Blackstone Clarion, TNC is a platform. Now they own a marketing event. It's the leading digital marketing event in North America, and so they are buying other events that are marketing events that they just merge into this company. Okay, that's all it is. They're tucking those other things in to increase the top line sales and EBITDA of this company. The second way is buy and bump. Now that's just, we're going to improve the performance. We're going to buy a company, we're going to improve the performance, and we're going to exit, and we aren't going to do any acquisitions. So it's a faster turnaround. Not usually a private equity play, but a play that we like a lot. Then there's a fix and flip. So this is a distressed company. So this is when they're having problems of some sort, and you're going to do a turnaround or a workout or some debt restructure or even a liquidation. Okay? And one thing to think about that's a big opportunity here is that there are several turnaround companies that are losing money now, and when you buy them and separate them from a larger company, and carve-outs is a strategy in here too, so it applies to both. But they're losing money right now, but they're owned by a larger company, and when you buy them, then they suddenly become profitable. Does anybody have an idea why? Overhead. Overhead allocation. So these bigger companies will, and we do this too when I show you structure, you know, it's not like a stupid thing to do, but they'll kind of forget, like my partners forgot to mail and stuff, right? There's this overhead allocation because the central office or the private equity fund that owns it sometimes will actually do an allocation of private equity overhead too. And it's not able to support that, and it doesn't need it, but because it's part of this overall company and their structure and strategy is we have centralized services and shared services, and we pass the overhead on pro rata to the companies based on sales or EBITDA or whatever, then it's getting hit with this huge charge that isn't real and that it doesn't need. So then when you carve it out or when you get into the turnaround, that goes away and you've actually got a profitable company. That's kind of a fun thing too. Then the fourth one is carve-outs. So this is acquiring underperforming businesses from larger companies. So whether it's from a larger company or the overhead allocation from a PE group is very common as well. So you might find an end of term. Remember I told you those PE things are funds are like 7 years long typically. So if you find an end of term private equity group that's selling off the assets, you might be able to buy a company that looks less profitable than it is because the private equity group has done allocations to it, and so it's not really even a turnaround. Okay? And carve-outs is the same thing from a larger company. Why the larger companies sell these off is because, not because they have to, but because it's a drag on profits and they want to get that out and buy something else. In and outs are either that you manage in, like the equity deal that we talked about, or you buy in, and then you're going to increase the value through your efforts or efforts of people you've got. So now I've got a good team, so I will bring a team into a company. For example, Digital Marketer, when I came in, I brought a CEO, a CFO, and a director of human resources right off the bat. So they didn't have that professionalized management, so I've got people I've got relationships with, I've done deals over the years, and so you might come in and say, I'm actually going to give you that management team. I mean, they're not going to give it to them, they're going to pay for it, but I'm going to bring those people in too and increase the value. So it doesn't have to be you, and then you put option exit out. Consolidations is, I don't really like these deals, but it's just to share with you the strategies. That's where there's excess industry capacity, and you basically buy the companies and aggregate them to reduce the capacity that's available. The problem with that is that then new startups come to create new capacity. So to me, it's a kind of a silly game. Acceleration, so the target's products, the company that's being acquired's products, get to access the buyer's existing resources. Now this is partially the strategy that Clarion has. They bought us because we were only doing TNC in North America, and now next year we'll be in Russia and Singapore and eventually 10 different places. So geo-cloning successful companies that haven't expanded internationally is a very common thing, and they can do it better than us because they already own 300 events across a whole bunch of different countries. We don't know how to go into China. They've already got events in China. Buy, not build. This is to acquire a skill or a tech faster than if you were to build it yourself. So to me, one of the best examples of this was Google. When Google said, wouldn't it be cool if we could put ads on people's websites and then we could charge people to run them? They said, should we develop that? We have a whole bunch of smart people. And they said, well, there's this company called Adscape that already does that. How about if we just buy that and let's call it AdWords? And so that's where AdWords came from. And for Apple, Apple has a streaming service called Apple Music now. Yes. They have that because they bought Beats, which already had a streaming service, which they renamed Apple Music. So it's a good strategy if you want to acquire tech. So I do like that one. Then the two that I don't really like that much is just general bargain hunting. If you're just looking for cheap companies without any strategy, I don't really like that. Your worst case cold start should be, this is the trend, let's buy a platform company along this trend line and then do tuck-ins. I don't like just trying to find a company and, hey, hope that trend stays. Blockchain would be a good example. If you bought a blockchain at the valuations that they were at a couple of years ago, that would be, especially like a Bitcoin development or wallet or current crypto company, that's a very, very volatile market. And then trend hunting. So and then bargain hunting, same thing. If you're just looking for a cheap deal, that's not as great a strategy to me.